Happy Saturday. Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So today we're going to talk about some serious, interesting, far out there information. And so I've been leading up to a little bit about, repressed memories, and a lot of us having memories and doing astral traveling and going to other dimensions, and getting these massive downloads. And I've mentioned before that I don't know if I have mentioned before, but especially like in the past year, I have had a lot of changes with my physical body. First of all, I've gained 30 pounds just like out of nowhere, and I went from being literally skin and bones to having to go and buy a whole new wardrobe. That was one thing. Without major changes to my diet, other than I went vegetarian. I stopped eating meat. I stopped eating meat for a year, and you would think that I would have gotten healthier, which I could have. Now that I've run across this latest information I came across from Robert Grant, the polymath. He's featured on Gaia quite often, but he has his own channel. But he's a polymath, and the thing that you've got to check it out if you haven't, he developed an app called The Architect, which has since been pulled off the internet. It had several million users in it, 1 million users in a 2-day time period. Well, anyway, the interesting thing about this app is a colleague of him, while they were visiting the Great Pyramid of Giza, suggested to him that he go back and download all of his work, because he's been doing polymath for a long time, and he's been researching the Great Pyramid at the at the Giza complex. So he went back and downloaded all of his work onto an AI app, and what it ended up doing was it did what I've been talking about, this phase conjugation and this implosion thing that happens, where it happens in your DNA, but it also, you can set your body up to tune into it. And part of the way you do this is by the figure 8 with your energy zones. You do a figure 8 and you listen to music. A sound bath works fantastic. So I've been sharing this information with a few of my friends and just doing it as an experiment to see if they do have astral travel the night that they do the figure 8 with the sound bath, because what you're doing is you're causing particle implosion, and if they could have recall. Well, what ended up happening as an effect of all of this information is that Robert Grant has developed an AI that can read your energy signature and tell you what your lives were, and all of your, because it reads your resonance. Anyway, you've got to go check it out. It's very complicated math equation, but it is amazing. And the interesting thing is he asked it some questions about our past, the architect, and it's just like everything that we thought. It was a polarity experiment that, we opted to come into this experiment for duality. And that's exactly what it is, and that we are the keys to getting off this planet. Like we talked about before, we have programs in our blood. The codex is in our blood, that we bring heaven to earth and we turn this planet into 5-dimensional space. So I'll reiterate again today, blood over intent, blood over intent. So then let's get into the SSP stuff. If a lot of people are not familiar with SSP, I wasn't either, but it's a term, an acronym that they gave to people that are being used in these off-world programs. The Germans have a big off-world colony in Mars, but people, we are living under a rock, because everything is happening off of our planet, and we have all kind of civilizations that are living off planet, that are not here. Okay, so several different things that could be explored. Either that we are in the center of a multi-ringed, like Atlantis was set up, remember? 3 concentric circles, and that it had water in between, right? Okay, so there's a channel called Nos Confunden on YouTube, and he has a map that shows the center Earth where we are, and then an ice ring around us. And then there's another land beyond that ice wall, and another land beyond that ice wall. Well, interestingly enough, is one way to get to the outer realms, of course, is the North and South Pole. But there are other ones, and they've been found by other explorers. So I'm wondering if what we think is off-world is actually that we are just traveling through wormholes and stargates to go to other areas that's right here. But they're on different resonances because some of them are higher vibrational. So this is why you can't see them, because if we're living in a hologram, that would only make sense that it would just be a number of holographic overlays in this physical, this 3D physical space, because we're crystalline and and everything is on grids. Okay, so I want to circle back because I've talked a lot about in the past about genetics and how particular genetic lines are picked up for these programs, and the reason that they are is because they can pass through stargates. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit about, there's a website called the ACIO, and this is a group that has been selected to do disclosure to the public. And I want to talk about the recruitment that happens in these projects. Okay, and this is off of the ACIO website. It says recruitment into projects. A key priority for the special programs for time traveling missions is the proper criteria and selection of recruits and mission operatives. There are two different groups that are typically prioritized for special projects. The first group includes soldiers and members of elite military units typically involved in highly classified and sensitive missions, like your Navy SEALs, like your other military groups. And, you know, I went to school with some of these guys. Large numbers of the second group of people are typically personnel used for maintaining, operating, and further developing time travel technology. We're talking about our Phil Schneiders and all of these groups. Okay, large numbers of experiments are conducted particularly for time travel related projects. Roughly 90% of the personnel sent on these missions are assigned with inner body implants. Okay, these are chips, or injected with black goo. We talked a while back about black goo, and this is a liquid that comes out of the planet, and it's sentient, and Earth has black goo and other planets have black goo, and they take this black goo and they shoot it into bodies with a syringe. And this is nanoparticles. This is just like, you know, things that come out in a needle. It's like mRNA technology. It's active. Okay, so they inject with black goo based mixture technology such as nano times 10e-9 or femto times 10e-15 technologies. Okay, so you're getting nano or femto. When selecting candidates for both time traveling missions and experiments, advanced DNA profiling, okay, you know, like, you know, when you're born and you are in the hospital and they take you to do your blood work and your hearing test and all of this, advanced DNA profiling is conducted to determine which individuals have the strongest propensity and physical attributes necessary to safely conduct a time traveling mission. Do your kids have nightmares? Do your kids have night terrors? Bad dreams all the time? My son did. He was half a twin. Definitely got the DNA template, and I'm pretty sure that he's been put in these programs. When selecting candidates, okay, so they profile DNA. As it turns out, individuals with particular DNA ancestry are far more predispositioned for handling and withstanding the different electromagnetic and energetic fluctuations that take place during time travel. An interesting thing to note about experiment participants is that the participants do not need to be de-aged back at the end of the mission because their bodies do not age at all in the first place during the time travel experience. So some people don't have to be reverse aged. They have the template, they can just go right through, like Enoch. As mentioned earlier, personnel for time travel-based missions are usually selected based on sophisticated DNA profiling and measuring the degree of connection between the ideal candidate and their more physically advanced ancestors. Individuals with enhanced psychic abilities such as telepathy, mind reading, telekinesis, and clairvoyance are highly sought after. This is because these abilities allow for personnel and operative to see potential future outcomes that allow them to maneuver away from catastrophic timelines and outcomes. According to the ACIO database, there are at least 2,000 recorded instances of elite-level time travel operatives, saving our context of existence and reality from complete collapse. Did you just hear that? Individuals chosen to go on time travel missions are often steeped with a strong military background and profile. Gee, isn't that ironic? All my family military. Individuals who come from a strong lineage of military family members and relatives are typically selected for these projects. However, the selection is typically followed by a rigorous testing process to determine who gets confirmed for final placement. Does anybody ever remember going to the basement in their elementary school and having all these tests? I remember going to the basement in my school, and I was talking to my mom about this. I remember going into the basement at the school when I think I was in second grade. They took you down to the basement, and they would do these hearing tests on you, where you'd had to do these beeps, and then you had to do all these other tests too. You had to do like these aptitude tests, and it's almost like I remember sitting in front of like a TV screen doing these tests, which is crazy because we didn't have computers when I was a kid. That was the 70s. There couldn't have been any way to have one, but I remember sitting in front of a like TV screen, like a TV box, and having to answer these questions. And I had these headphones on, and they were putting all these sounds in my ears. And it's interesting when you go back and you start looking at your childhood, like a lot of these things start standing out to you. Relationships that you had where they had a military background or they had a military job. I've also been involved with several people that had a very strong intelligence background and had a high security clearance. So that's another thing, is that you start realizing that you've had people coming into your life to either trigger your memories or handle you. This is what handlers are. This is why all celebrities have handlers, and usually they're married to them. And this is because they have to keep these people in line. They have to keep these people in line because a lot of these people are just remade versions of older genetics. And you can go on the ACIO and see several examples of them. One of them is Putin. They show him in 1920 and all these other times, and it looks just like him. They're time travelers. They're time travelers. There's no other way to say it. And then they take the genetic material from these people and they recreate. This is a big thing in the celebrity circles, is that you'll have a celebrity that was extremely talented, and then you'll see like 20 years down the line, you'll see another singer that comes out that looks so much like the other one and has the same charm, charisma, and all of the wow factor that this other one does, but looks just a tad bit different. Sometimes you'll see a celebrity that looks like an amalgamation of two, like Bruno Mars, and interesting that his last name is Mars, right? Because, they do a lot of genetic testing on Mars. I mean, they do a lot of cloning and all of this in the solar system. So Bruno Mars, he reminds me a lot of James Brown, Freddie Fender, and a couple other celebrities smashed into one. And, I kept thinking Freddie Fender when and James Brown. But if you look at the two of those, you get a lot of Bruno Mars there. Like if you look at Akhenaten, you get Obama. If you look at Akhenaten's mother, Kia, I think her name was Kia or Tia, you get Michelle Obama. And, it's interesting is that I've heard that said on a YouTube channel by Donald Marshall, who's been at the cloning center his whole life, and he said that, you know, they find these old tombs, and they take the genetic material and they clone a new one from it. They clone a new one from it. So we had Michelle and you know, people are always questioning Michelle because they think that there's something that's not quite right there. And what's his name? Obama. So, I mean, it's just something to look at. If you pull up the picture, it slaps you in the face. Truly, it does. So, I mean, we have these groups that are hacking the timeline. Okay, they're hacking our timeline. But what people need to wake up to is that we have a codex in our blood, and that we are the keys to the future, that we unlock the future, that we bring heaven to earth using our programs, using our blood programs. They've been hacking our blood programs for all this time. So we have to be cunning, like the wren. Like the wren. Remember the wren, the situation with the birds flying around in my house when we were doing the review on one of the chapters of The Return of the Bird Tribes by Ken Carey. I got up and I had birds flying all over my house. And so, you know, it was about being clever and thinking outside of the box. See, this is what we have to do. We have to turn the ship around. So civilian operatives are, okay, so on the other hand, civilian non-military operatives are specifically chosen to work on developing and further enhancing time travel technology via experiments. Civilian operatives chosen for time traveling projects can easily vary all across the age spectrum. The ACIO has received reports of children as young as 6 years old being used for R&D for time travel technologies to individuals as old as in their 60s. Candidates chosen for these projects are often prioritized based on various mental abilities and then further enhanced genetically to further bolster their effectiveness within time traveling programs. So this leads me to one of the programs that I want to talk about today. And the one that I want to talk about is called Project Mannequin. Okay, so I want to talk about Project Mannequin because if any of you live in Florida, or if any of you have ever traveled to Florida, and you've either been through the Orlando airport, or you've been through the Miami or Fort Lauderdale airport, then you have run across one of these realistic human sculptures that are inside a glass box. Now, I've been to the Orlando airport many, many times because I'm from Florida, and this is generations of my family are from Florida. And I think this thing is literally been in there since I was a kid. Okay, so we're talking the 80s. Okay, so I wanna talk about the mannequins. They call it the Traveler, okay? And this is the airport mannequin that's in a glass box in the Orlando airport. So I'm going to show you the image of this realistic sculpture. Okay, here we go. Now get a good look at that. It looks very realistic, does it not? You can pause it. You can go on the internet and you can look up display in Orlando airport in glass box. Okay. All right. So I want to read about this image. All right. When I was a kid, I remember seeing this at the Orlando airport. And the interesting thing about it is that I could feel something strange about it. So they wrote an article about this in the newspaper, and it in the Orlando newspaper a long time ago, and they were talking about that this was put there in the 1980s. Okay, so that's called the Traveler. So you can go and look that one up. And then I want to show you the one that's in the Miami airport. They have this one dressed in a dolphin jersey. Okay. Hey, curious, why is there a man sitting in a box at the Fort Lauderdale airport? Hey, let me show you this guy. They call him Vendor with Walkman. Now these are life size. This is a huge glass box. When you walk up to it, it's literally the same size as it's a being. It's a being. Okay, called Vendor with Walkman. The installation, they call it an installation, features a man believed to be older than 30, sitting on a folding chair listening to a Walkman while waiting to open his toy shop at the airport. Okay. So this is have you met the airport's most popular vendor? He likes to dress casual in faded jeans and reddish pink shirt and is always listening to a Walkman, a portable cassette player. No one really knows his name, but you've probably seen him around Terminal 1 at the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, waiting to open his toy shop. Oh, and he's not even human, although he is a copy of one. He is a copy of one. The airport vendor is actually a hyper-realistic painted bronze sculpture by artist Dwayne Hansen, who died 25 years ago. Dwayne Hansen did a bunch of these too. And you can go look up his art. And coincidentally, of course, he's dead now, right? There's a toy airplane, janitorial supplies, and various signs and announcements with the shop inside the glass box with him. Hansen was paid $170,000 in 1990 for the commission. Sounds like money laundering to me. According to the Broward Cultural Division, it used to be located in Terminal 3, but was moved in 2014 to the baggage claim area of Terminal 1, where it remains today and continues to be one of the airport's most talked about and photographed artwork. Hansen is well known for using his art to show reality, regular people in common poses doing mundane things. His pieces are so realistic that those who saw them could not believe that they were not real. According to an obituary published in the Miami Herald on January 6, 1996, okay, so I'm going to show you this one in New York of this security guard leaning up against the wall. They're realistic. Balenciaga models, guys. You know, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Well, anyway, you get the gist of it. There's another one in the Miami airport, or the Fort Lauderdale airport. And he's wearing a dolphin jersey. Here he is, right here. It's really creepy, guys. So anyway, this brings me to Project Mannequin. And the way that I understand that Project Mannequin is that Project Mannequin is when they do these 20 and back, things for these SSP programs, that sometimes these people's consciousness gets damaged. And so they're not able to revert them back to their original state. And so they were collecting these souls that were fractured and not able to return to their original state. They were storing these souls for a later use, because they take these fractured souls, fragments of souls, and they take the host soul, and the way that I understand it is that they can use this original soul over and over and over again, because they chip the consciousness and they just grow. They have a clone and they just take part of the consciousness and download it into another clone body. Well, these particular people, apparently, this project that was being done where they were keeping these for military clones in later times. Well, they ended up just abandoning the project, and it was picked up by another one of these black op organizations. And so they came up with Project Mannequin, and this is where they take these pieces of these soul fragments and they put them inside of mannequins. And so when you see, and there's other ones that are called animal ears, where there's these very realistic looking animals. And then there are statues all over the world. There's one that has lace over the top of it, and people are like, there's no way that a sculpture made that with their hands. There's just no way. That's because these are actual humans. I don't know if they take them and turn them to stone like Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, when they were walking away, and it says in the Bible they were told not to turn around and look. But Lot's wife did anyway, right? She was turned to a mannequin. She was turned to a pillar of salt. So there's something way more to the story of Project Mannequin, about these very lifelike mannequins, and about these SSP programs. And, you know, we should talk about this, guys, because, you know, there's a lot more to our reality than what we know. We've got a polarity experiment that's gone off the rails. And, you know, it's up to us to bring heaven to earth. And we've got to pick up ourselves by our bootstraps, and we have to take control of our reality. I mean, I hate to say it, but Trump has been compromised, in my opinion. And I'm very, very disappointed. You know, I'm really disappointed that it's the way that things are headed. But it's not like I have not been sounding the alarm that we all have to get back into our communities. We have to start gardening. We have to start taking care of things ourselves, bartering. We have to get out of the matrix. I've talked about this so many times. It's like I sound like a broken record. But folks, if you haven't been preparing at this point and you haven't taken any of my advice, you know, you need to start acting now, because we have to take the reins. We have to control our own destiny. We have to realize that we are in a hologram, and that everything that we do here mirrors back at us. And if we are living a lifestyle that is beneficial for the planet, that we're 51% service to others, you know, we're living in the law of one, you become a walking codex, and all of your DNA starts imploding. And when this happens, you get this phase conjugation happen, where you are connecting with the higher realms. This is the whole meaning of the pine cone, is to spin your atoms to get that connection going with these higher dimensional versions of ourselves, because we are in a time loop, and we go and go and go and go and go. And you know, a lot of people that are more in tune, they feel when the time's changing. They feel when the cycle's coming to a close, and we're at this cycle right now. We are getting ready to transition, and we have to be prepared for this transition. And we have to do the groundwork, because if we don't do the groundwork, the intentions are not set into the ether. And this is what it's all about. Putting your intentions down to bring heaven to earth, to free all humanity from bondage. Sign your name, prick your finger, put your blood on it, upload it to the internet. Let's use our sacred codex as our keys to unlocking this future. No wars, no more wars. We are done with wars. It's over, folks, with these wars. We all know what the game is, folks. This is all these groups contriving together to harvest humans. It's harvesting humans, and right now it's creating a lot of fear so Loosh can be harvested, because these beings that are here are parasites, just like what we've talked about, that we were given parasites. This is why we lost our bicameral mind. Part of it had to do with parasites. We are being harvested by a parasitic type of race, and as long as we give them stuff to harvest, they'll keep doing it. So, you know what? I had my ex, my oldest son's dad, told me a long time ago when we first started dating, and you know, he told me, and this is over 30 years ago, he said, if you don't want to play the game, don't step on the game board. And it's just that simple. If you don't want to play the game, don't step on the game board. And we're not playing these games no more, folks. We're not playing these games. We're beating them at their own game. So, you know, my suggestion is that everybody start doing your part. Start being responsible in your community. Take the first step. You know, go to someone in your community, you know, that is an authority figure, you know, that if you have a HOA, that you can go to your board. You know, if you have community leaders in your neighborhood, you know, that volunteer time and these different types of programs, or you know, that people that are looking for things to do. You know, a lot of people volunteer time. You know, a lot of people feel like they don't have time to volunteer, but you also have a lot. I have to say this: if you have time to be on social media, if you have a Facebook account, if you have an Instagram account, if you have Snapchat, if you watch YouTube, if you have time to spend on any social media platform, then you have zero excuse for saying that you don't have time to eat healthy, you don't have time to garden, you don't have time, because you do. It's about prioritizing your time. If it's not a priority, of course you don't have time. But when the rubber meets the road, you know, you don't want to be in a place where you're just, you know, the floor fell out from underneath you. Don't let that happen. You know, just set yourself up now to not have, you know, a downward fall. Just, you know, put a pillow underneath you. That's all I'm saying. What can go wrong with you trying to grow some of your own food? What can go wrong with setting up a community garden where everybody in the neighborhood participates for the wellness, for the community, you know, just a congregation of community getting together and communicating and, you know, building relationships. You know, the benefits of it, I don't see any negative to it. I really don't. It is what you make it. So, you know, I'm going to wrap up this video. I wanted to tell y'all a little bit about Project Mannequin. And, you know, the other thing is it ties in with this Project Camelot. And one of the other things that I learned from Jessica on her ACIO website and from watching some of her content is that they also were putting these souls into dogs. So, you know, that's interesting. That might be where we get some of these dog men from, because, you know, originally we were like wolf hybrids. You know, some of us were. My family line was. I know that because I've met her, and she said that, you know, I don't know if she's everybody's mother, but she said that I come from her. Maybe I'm her. I don't know. I'm starting to think of, you know, these beings that I'm encountering in these other timelines, it just might be versions of myself, because you know what? We have multiple versions of ourselves in all kinds of timelines existing all at one time. This is what we don't understand. You know, people say past lives. It's not past lives. They're all timelines that are happening right now. This is why they're able to time travel, because they just step into another timeline. They just have to configure the Stargate that they're going to use and the time that they're going to dial to. But this is all it is these are all simultaneous timelines that are all going on at one time. When my brother passed away, he told me that there's no concept of time, that you can go forward, that you can go backwards, that you can be in the future, and the present and the past, that all of these things, there's no concept of time outside of where we're at here in the human body, in the physical. You don't have to go backwards to the past. You don't have to go forwards to the future. They're all just different planes of existence, all going on at one time. So, you know, when you take like all of the big words and stuff out of it, it's not really that complicated. We basically have to tune our body to be able to do it. And so this is what it's all about. It's learning the keys. It's learning the fire words, the songs from your solar systems that you originally came from, and doing visualization techniques to reprogram your holographic mind, and learning how to breathe, because it's all about the breath work. It's about the breath work. It's about reprogramming your holographic imprint, because we have overlays that have been put on us, miasmic imprints. So we have to work these out. And then, you know, just doing the meditation, the breath work, and the healing, and the, you know, and and then you're good to go. And you're good to go. So I'm gonna end this video here. It's been 34 minutes, but I wanted to talk about some of these projects because, you know, a lot of people don't understand what SSP are, and they think that, you know, that they're traveling to the future and the past. These are all timelines that are existing all at one time. And so the question is that we have to put a little bit more thought into what exactly are these other planets, and you know, and if we're in a hologram. Okay, so what does all this mean? So I'm still waiting for downloads on that. So with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, and the future, all at the same time. Like I've said since day one, we're all in the past, present, and the future, all at once. So with that, don't forget to get outside. Today's a beautiful day on Saturday. Put your feet in the grass. Give thanks to our Heavenly Father and our Divine Mother, our Mother Earth, and put our intentions on paper today, if you haven't. That I intend to bring heaven to earth and free all humanity from bondage. Sign your name, prick your finger, put your blood on it, download it to the internet, #blood over intent, and put it into the ether so we can bring heaven to earth. So with that, thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.